How's it going, everybody? It is Chris and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about, go over, and review the Staccato P. Stay tuned. So like I said in the intro, we're going to be talking about the Staccato P. I'm going to talk about kind of my initial impressions when first handling it, some little overview thoughts on that, the pros and the cons, and then kind of my overall review and final statements on the actual pistol itself. So first things first, we are talking about the Staccato P. I have two on the table here. We have a first gen and a second gen. There are slight differences in between them. They basically function exactly the same between some slight variances. Now, I'm not even going to give the actual SKUs and stuff. There's so many different options when you're actually picking out which version you are talking about. Basically, I'm just going to talk about the Staccato P as a whole for a full-size duty handgun. So when I first took it out of the bag, obviously that felt pretty solid. It feels like a well-built, well-machined handgun, as you would expect from something that costs so much. And so the slide is obviously very smooth. The safeties are snappy. They feel good. The grip safety, all that kind of stuff feels really good. The triggers are obviously top of the line, right? But especially with a 2011, you kind of get a little bit of leeway. It's pretty hard to mess up a 1911 or 2011 trigger in this case. These both have a 4.4-inch barrel. They are chambered in 9mm. They are the optics cut version, and they basically function identical. The setups on these are also pretty much the same. One has a Delta Point Pro, one has an RMR. They both have X300s. You really can't go wrong with either configuration. So throughout this video, you will see B-roll of both of these pistols, as well as me shooting some of them. And I'm going to make a lot of comparisons between this and something like a Springfield Prodigy. One, I basically just did a video a couple weeks ago about it, but two, I think that it's sort of a good comparison when you're looking at a mid-range to lower range 2011. I know it sounds crazy when they're $1,500 for a Springfield Prodigy, but it's just kind of true compared to something like a Staccato, which a lot of people consider basically top of the line. Obviously, things like Atlases or Nighthawks are above that, but we're just going to kind of go off of that sort of general population thinking. So what are things that I think they did really well? First of all, like I said, when I opened up the bag, it feels sturdy. It feels well machined. The slide is obviously very smooth. Everything mechanically feels snappy, function, tight fitting, and it just feels good. If you compare it to some polymer handguns or some more mass-produced handguns where there's some wobble, there's some leeway, the trigger is not as crisp, it's not as smooth. Everything on these feels very well machined and perfectly kind of fit. It feels really good when you're actually shooting it. The other thing that I would kind of note, and this is a big comparison to the Prodigy, is the recoil impulse on the Staccato is much snappier than the Prodigy. It feels like you're shooting a polymer handgun, but the difference between both of those is its ability to basically reset and kind of put yourself right back on target. So although it is much snappier than the Prodigy, and I said this in the Prodigy video too, the Prodigy feels very sluggish and almost like you're waiting for that gun to cycle before you can take another shot. Super interesting. I've never shot a gun that really kind of felt like that. Some of the Beretta 92s feel like that, depending on which one. Once again, the slide is super smooth, so it's not like a jerky movement, but it feels so sluggish, like you're waiting for the gun to cycle. The Staccatos, on the other hand, do not feel like that. It feels like it just snaps, but it goes right back on target. So if you can sort of combine a Prodigy and then maybe some polymer duty pistol, like a Glock 17 or something, it's kind of the combination of both, which is sort of perfect because I think this is kind of the role that they're going for, especially when they start talking about their law enforcement contracts and becoming duty handguns for a lot of police departments around the states now. So other things that it's got going for it, obviously the trigger. The trigger is very good, even from the factory. Aftermarket ones are also super awesome. You really can't go wrong with the trigger. I would be sort of hard-pressed to find a better trigger on any polymer handgun. And that just kind of makes sense since it's the 2011 platform. The whole mechanical functioning behind it, the straight wall, the flat trigger, all that kind of stuff makes it, you know, top of the line. And if it didn't have a really good trigger, I think everybody would be surprised just based off the platform and the cost, obviously, itself. One of the other things that I kind of wanted to talk about, another small thing for me, is the fact that they don't have a loaded chamber indicator on the barrel itself, barrel and slide. And I know this might seem really weird and dumb, but I have seen so many handguns, especially as of late, come in with these loaded chamber indicators, right? And it kind of makes sense, right? It's just another way to make sure if the gun is loaded or not. The issue is when you are running red dots, so when you have optic cut guns, and you have a loaded chamber indicator, gas and carbon and stuff is going to rocket out of that straight onto the glass of your optic, which could bake it on there. It can cause damage. It can just get all over it and just get dirty or oily if you just cleaned it. It is the worst design flaw ever. I wish no manufacturer would do that. I'm not really sure how anybody hasn't picked up on that. Now, both of these handguns are running red dots, as you can see. They do have iron sights. The iron sights I did try to use a little bit, just passively aiming through the red dot, and they work. They work well. They both have a fiber optic sight, and there's no real issue there if you have any light. Obviously, just a big green dot. The rear sights are blacked out. Doesn't bother me. Some people really like that. Some people really hate that. Doesn't really make a difference to me. The sights are perfectly fine. Overall, everything else functionally on the gun is super awesome. Like I said, there is sort of a little bit of an extended magazine release, makes just releasing that magazine a little bit nicer. On this version, it came with a flared mag well, obviously makes reloads a little bit easier. So there's a bunch of different things and little tiny nuances that I think that they think about and take care of, where other manufacturers don't really do that, so I really like that. So now I kind of want to talk about the downsides, and I'm going to be completely honest, there really aren't that many. The main thing is obviously the price. They are super expensive. I'm not even going to give a cost because they can vary depending on model, and even within the model, your accoutrements that you're going to put on. If you want the version with the threaded barrel, if you want an optics cut, if you don't. So do your own research on that, but it's a Staccato, right? You can just kind of think it's probably going to be thousands of dollars. So that obviously kind of stinks, but you are getting the machining and the quality control and stuff like that for the actual product. So does that matter for you? Maybe, maybe not. The last and final thing that I'm going to talk about, I do not have any videos of it. I'm also not going to put any up because I don't want to get copyright strike. You can do your own research. It takes about 4 seconds to figure it out. These are not drop safe, even with the hammerback and safety on. Is that a concern for you? Maybe, maybe not. It is something to think about, and I just wanted to put that out there as another downside, right? It's 2011. A lot of them have issues with that, so do with that information what you will. I'm putting it out there to be absolutely transparent. So, yeah. All right, hey everybody. So if you can't tell by the change in the background and the change in the wardrobe, this part of the video is recorded much, much after that initial part. And we're talking like multiple months. So if you followed on social media, this was supposed to come out like 2+ months ago. The reason for the delay was, one, the shop got really busy, had to hire a bunch of people. Really love and support all of you guys for helping us kind of reach that goal and become so busy. But the second part is because I bought one. So those first 2 pistols that were in there were loaner pistols, and so throughout that time, I basically was just borrowing it from shop friends and kind of doing a little bit of review. That's how most of it goes. I don't have all the money in the world to just keep buying stuff, so that's kind of where that came from. During that time, I had the opportunity to actually purchase one, so I did. And so a little bit about how I've been using it. I have concealed carried it. I have worn it at the shop here. I have shot a whole bunch with it. I've dry fired with it, and I've had no problems. The issues that I have with this handgun are kind of twofold. One is a training thing on me, right? It's not really caused by the gun functions. It's things that I am doing to the gun that are causing issues. I'll talk about that in a second. And then the second one is just kind of the size and design of it, which I can't really fault the handgun for because my hand just doesn't fit it as well as other people's, and that's just ergonomics. It's just how it kind of works. So I'm going to go over the qualms that I have really quick with it. This is not, I'm going to be honest, you can't really hold it against it because it's just the size of my hands and a training thing. So absolutely can be trained out. I have gotten much better with it, but I just want to be absolutely upfront and honest with you and kind of give you information to help you make a decision. So first things first, the magazine release. I have to break my grip in order to hit it. I don't like that. It's not comfortable or natural for me, and I don't like breaking my grip with my dominant hand every time I have to drop a magazine. I understand this can be trained by using your left hand, all that kind of stuff. Just the way that I did it, I want to be able to go grab another magazine and drop it freely. So that's one of the big qualms. The other one is the way that I grip the pistol. Probably a solid 60 to 70% of the time, the slide is not locking to the rear on the last round. It is not a magazine problem. It is not a gun problem. It's just my hand when I am actually shooting will naturally just kind of hit the slide release. Not really a fault on the gun. The gun still functions fine. If I don't touch it, it works just fine. So that's just a training thing on me. I've been trying to train that out of me. That's just how I grip the gun, and that's how it works. Also going along with that, if the slide does lock to the rear, when I'm doing a reload and I insert a magazine into it, I'm not even close to being able to reach the slide release with my right thumb, meaning I have to hit it with my left hand or I have to go over the top. Both of these are training things, I'm well aware of that, but it is super convenient to just be able to hit it with my right thumb, just like on my Glock. It's much, much faster. But I can't really hold it against the gun. That's just how it is. My hands just need to be way bigger, I guess. So those are really the only issues. I haven't had malfunctions. I haven't had ammunition problems. I've shot a bunch of different ammo through it. I've shot it suppressed. I've shot it every which way you can think of. And I have not had a problem. So I was really impressed with that. The weight, it's obviously heavier. It's a gigantic metal gun, but nothing to really be concerned about. I don't really have any issues with it. The big one, like I'm pretty sure I already said in the video, if I didn't, I'm gonna say it right now, is the cost, right? That's the big kind of limiting factor, I think, on this over any other option. So if you can justify the cost, if you have the money lying around, if you kind of really just wanna buy one handgun and maybe never even need another one again, yeah, I do think it's a good option. Yeah, I hope this kind of helped. Sorry that this video took so much longer, but I want to be absolutely upfront and honest and give you guys the best information that I can. So would I buy one? Yeah, probably. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Should you buy one? That's up to you. All right. Thanks. I hope this video helped you guys. I understand it's a little bit long. A lot of it is pretty simple and self-explanatory, but I just wanted to put it out. I think that it is a great comparison, especially when you're watching the kind of feed of me shooting, to kind of see the recoil on this one versus the Prodigy. So I will leave that video linked here at the end. So if you want to go watch the Prodigy video too, just to kind of compare the two, there is a bunch going on here. And in reality, it's kind of up to you. I know that kind of stinks because you might be watching this video going, what should I buy? But in reality, both of them are great options. There is some slight benefits to going over to something like a Staccato compared to a Prodigy or even sort of a Platypus. That's a video for later. But does it make a difference for you? Is it worth the extra $1,000, $2,000? That's for you to decide. So if you have any questions, leave them down below. Remember to like and subscribe. If you want some merch, pick it up using the links in the description. I hope this video helped you guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.